Hey, you guys. I decided to go live. I kind of have just been watching the events that have been going on the past couple of weeks. And I don't know, I'm probably going to lose a ton of subscribers by having this conversation. I have to say, I really don't care. I was talking to Mister about it, and I just thought, you know what? Screw it. Let's talk about it. So somebody asked me, one of you guys commented and asked me, had I done a video on reparations? And yes, I have. I've kind of stayed out of the whole Tyreek Nasheed, Yvette Carnell situation, Tone Talks, and just skirted by the whole Michi X thing, purely on the strength that I feel like I don't want to have this conversation about reparations. When I think about reparations and I think about a check, I keep hearing people say a check, a check, a check. And I'm so disgusted when I hear that. Number one, there's no price. There's no price on what has occurred over the past 400 years. There's not a price tag for that. There's no price on me going to the gynecologist and having a speculum put inside of me, knowing that my ancestors had experiments done on their bodies unwillingly, what I do willingly today. There's not a price on that. There's not a price on crushing the heads of Black babies or breeding Black people like animals. There's not a price on you sending your children to school and they're being taught evolution, which was designed to prove that you were not an actual person so that it would be okay to enslave your ancestors. There's not really a price on hundreds of years of trauma. There's not a price on the lynchings that went on. There's not a price on the burning down of Black businesses, the terrorizing of Black people, the massacres that went through many Black towns. There's not a price tag attached to that. There's not even a beginning price tag attached to that. And so when we talk reparations and people start talking about a fucking check, you know what? I'm not going to cuss. I apologize. When we talk reparations and people start talking about a check, first of all, let's be very clear. You're not getting a check. Even if by some miracle, and it would take a miracle, you got reparations. Did you watch the reparations hearing? They're not giving out checks, people. They're going to put social programs together. They're going to pull what they did with the Aborigines in Australia, but not even so nice. They're going to put social programs together, and then they're going to pay white people to administer those programs to Black people. And a bunch of white people are going to get rich. And if you do get a check, like the natives do, you'll have a very similar fate to them, living in squalor and drunkenness, while the wealthy among you are the people who actually pocket the money. See, we're willing to sell out our ancestors for a check that we'll never get. Not in the way that people think. People keep saying when they cut the check, when they cut the check. No, it's not going to work like that. You're not going to get a check like that. And even if you could get a check like that, what is the monetary amount? What is the price of the crack epidemic? What is the price of the bodies that they bred, of the people that they whipped until the skin was off of their backs? What is the price tag for that? 8 billion? 15 billion? What is the price tag for your dignity? What is the price tag for you to drive a car by a corporation that got rich off of the back of your ancestors? To take a mortgage from Chase Bank that has their money off the blood of your ancestors? What is the price tag for that? What's the price? What's the price tag for the bodies that they hung up by nooses and burned and then put on postcards and shipped around the country for fun? What is the price tag for your dignity? How much can they pay you to not want you to avenge the blood of your ancestors? What is the price tag for that? You go to the same people whose pockets are fat off of the forced labor of your people and ask for a check for reparations as if their money, the money that they love so much, that they would work our ancestors to the point where their muscles would rip away from the bone, literally. And you've got a number for that? A number that'll make you shut up about that? Can we hunt enough corporations down? Can America pay us enough with our money for that? That's why, you know what? That's why I listen to all of these conversations. I'm present for the conversations. I listen, but you never see me comment in the chats. I listen to Yvette. I listen to Tyreek, who's a whole buffoon. I watch people shell out their money, donate to the causes, so that we can try to attach a number to reparations. You know what we don't have in common with all of the other people that got reparations? Nobody said that they weren't human, that they were not fully human. Nobody had massive breeding farms for their people where they were bred like cattle. That's according to one of our ancestors, bred like cows or sheep or pigs. Nobody thought that they couldn't feel pain like a normal person, and so you could do anything to their bodies because it didn't matter. Because since they're only partly human, they don't feel pain. Let's attach a price tag to that. We are deserving of reparations, but let's be clear what reparations are. Reparations are not a check. That's not reparations. You know what will repair this? Revolution. Socio-political revolution, social revolution, game over. That will repair this. There is no repairing. We cannot build anything. What will reparations give us? What will a check start? What kind of start is that? So we can do what? Like I said, take loans from the banks that are rich off of slave blood. Now you can take a loan from them and buy a house. Is that a start? So we can buy Brooks Brothers suits like the wealthy do. We can buy suits from the very people who are worth billions because of brutality and slave labor. What will the check make right? I'm asking you guys, seriously, what will the check make right? What start is that? You know what would be a start to me? To make their money worthless. They don't deserve a monetary system. If America had a spine, if it had a spine, it would do to what was built on slavery what the whites did to everything they found in Africa. They destroyed it all. They burned it to the ground. They made it like it never existed. There's only one kind of reparations, and there's no check. Reparations is not green. That's not a thing. You know what a check is? A check is you recognizing your place in this society. A check is saying, if you give me some money, I will shut up and we'll call it square. I'll still do business with all your dirty corporations that got rich off of my ancestors' backs. Just give me the check. I'll still walk past statues of people who were barbarians. Just give me the check. I'll still go to your medical schools and get your degrees and be taught that these people who violently abuse slaves are geniuses that push forward the medical community, push forward medical science. Just give me the check. I'll move my kids into your neighborhoods. I'll go to school alongside you. Just give me the check. Just give me the check. There's a Mercedes with my name on it. Just give me the check. There's a house I want to buy. Just give me the check. Everybody says when we get the check, we can do more. No, when you get the check, you're going to buy couches, houses. You're going to go to the same people whose blood money funds the lives of billionaires, and you're going to ask them for loans, for jobs, for houses, for cars, for fancy clothes. We can't even get along now. You think when you get a check, we're all going to be buddies? Nobody wants reparations. What people want is to take a place in this dirty society that was built on evil and be comfortable. They want to get paid for some of the most vile things that have ever occurred to a human being. You always hear of people pimping out their children. You hear of people selling their babies for sex. You hear of people doing vile things for a buck. You might have did it, but if you pay me, it makes it square. If enough people pay me, maybe I won't complain. I'm not upset so much at the pursuit of revelations of I'm not upset so much at the pursuit of reparations as I am about the symbolism of the thing. So the Japanese got reparations. I didn't know they were bred like animals. I didn't know their babies' heads were bashed in. I didn't know that they were tied to trees and beaten until the flesh came off of their body. I didn't know that people cut off their fingers and toes if they misbehaved. I didn't know that they locked their babies in barns, hoping that they would have sex with each other so that they could have more stock. I wasn't aware that that happened to the Japanese. So maybe getting a check was good enough for them. We deserve more than that. But you know what? Here's the problem. It's not even about us. The reparations aren't about us. What needs to be corrected, what needs to be atoned for is what was done to our people, our ancestors, who suffered far greater than we're suffering today, whose bodies were hogtied to spits and set on fire. Why is the conversation not socio-political revolution? Why is the conversation not social revolution? Why is the conversation not social revolution? Why is it about a check? Who wants to build on this foundation? Who wants to build on this foundation with so many bodies under it? Literally, literally mass graves of slaves, and they built cities on top of our ancestors' bodies. Literally, not figuratively, literally. Throwing tens of thousands of our ancestors' bodies into mass graves and then erecting major cities on top of them. And we want a check? A check? We're owed a check? That's what we're owed? Like I said, I would never stop the reparations bandwagon. I already know we're too pussyfied for revolution. I already know. We're mad, but we're not that damn mad. And what's more than us not being that mad is they have us pegged, y'all. They have us completely pegged. They know how our minds work. See, even the conversation of reparations, the conversation of it will shut us up. Because think about it, it's been 400 years since the game started. It's been about 200 years since slavery ended. They haven't given you shit in 200 years. So let's wait another 4. Hmm? How about we wait another 8? How about another 10? This is a long haul game. How about we wait another 20? How about another 50? How about another 100 while we're at it? I mean, why not? It's already been 400 years since the beginning, 200 years since the end. Let's just keep on having this conversation. It was 40 acres and a mule a couple hundred years ago. And here we are still talking about how we're going to get that 40 acres and a mule. Still trying to get that check. Maybe if we ask the right questions, maybe if we vote for the right people, maybe if we organize enough, maybe if we change our name, maybe in another 100 years. We're so much closer than we were 200 years ago. What is the definition of insanity? You know, this reparations conversation is not new, right? This is a very old conversation. What is the definition of insanity? You do the same thing over and over and over and over. You just expect a different result. And you think because we've made political progress that it matters. That is what cracks me up. Is that you guys actually think that political progress means that we're getting closer to the goal. Well, let me just go ahead and just burst that bubble. Okay? How about I just bring some actual logic into this thing? Do you know that white people they're experts? And I don't mean your average everyday white person. I mean the people who actually have power. Not the white guy on the street that can't do anything, can't solve anything, couldn't cut a reparations check because he's poor too. Not that one. The ones in power, they have all of these things that they do to get you to shut up, to feel like you're making progress. They have a theory. Have you guys ever heard of this? It's called the theory of equilibrium. Equilibrium. That's what they call it. The theory of equilibrium. See, what they do is they put you in their schools and they teach you value coordinated behavior, because that value coordinated behavior, it causes political stability. Am I talking about something boring here? I just want to share with you the tools of the enemy. How about that? How about we just delve into why you think reparations is actually green? Why you think it's a check? There's something called the theory of equilibrium. And they put you in schools and they teach you value coordinated behavior, and that leads to political stability. So, let's be more precise. What I'm saying is that they socialize you so that it can perpetuate a certain set of values and norms in your mind. And that makes you have trust and confidence in your government. And that's why you think that you can get enough representation, cast enough votes, and get reparations. We think somehow we can conversate our way into equality in a system that was literally built on you being subhuman. You're not a person, you're subhuman. A system that teaches evolution in schools, even though evolution means that you are the second to least evolved person on the planet. Because that's what that theory says. The Aborigines are the least evolved, and after the Aborigines, Negroids. Negroids are the least evolved. And then the indigenous, like the Native Americans, they are a little more evolved. And then the Asians and then the whites are at the top of the evolutionary ladder. They still teach that in school, and you think they're gonna give you reparations? And when they do give you reparations, the joke's going to be on you. Because again, they already said it. They won't cut a check. That's not what's going to happen. They're going to start social programs. See, we don't have control over how they divvy those reparations out. We don't even have what the Native Americans do, which is a group of crooked, rich people to give us money. See, the Native Americans at least have that. They have at least their own people, their own land. I mean, they're getting screwed, but they're getting screwed by their own people at least. We won't even get that. Let's just talk about something else. There's another theory that they use to stop you from actually engaging in socio-political revolution. It's called the modernization theory. I know you guys have never heard of these things, because understanding why you don't want to revolt, that is boring. But let's just be bored today. Let's just, for shits and giggles, understand why everybody's so scared to do anything. Why we're all sitting here politicizing something that didn't start politically. The modernization theory, it says that social mobilization and economic development leads people to have political awareness. You know, I read a historical document several times on this channel and it says the same thing. See, they gave Black people freedom, and then Black people started to socially mobilize, right? We started to mobilize together after we got our freedom. And then we had political awareness. We were like, oh my goodness, we could vote. We could participate in this system. See, but white people already knew we were going to do this because they have a theory for that. They call it the modernization theory. They knew we were going to do that. So, consequently, right, since now we're educated and we're urbanized, we started to demand greater political participation. Isn't that what we're doing? We ain't slaves no more. We've mobilized, we're intelligent, and now we want political participation. And the whites knew we were going to do this because they're pretty much experts at stopping people from revolting. So, what do you do with people who have mobilized and now have intelligence and want to politically be involved? They allow us to establish little mechanisms to incorporate the mobilized people. So that means that you get a couple representatives, you get a Black caucus, not enough to do any real damage to anything, but enough to shut you up because you got a little representation so you feel like you've made some progress, you're doing something. Do you know they only do that to keep you from revolting? Yeah, it's called the modernization theory. That's what they call it. Have any of you ever heard of this? Am I the only person that's heard of these theories? Because I wondered why socio-political revolution has not occurred. And lo and behold, it hasn't occurred because they've studied everybody so well, they know how to make you not do it. Yeah. There's another one I also think is pretty interesting. It's called the political conflict model. Political conflict model. Have you heard of that? I want to talk about why you think you want to check, you know? Because you think this is your idea. See, what's fascinating is because of the theory of equilibrium, where they put you in their schools and indoctrinated you with value coordinated behavior, you think that reparations is your idea. You know, you think the fact that you want to cast a vote, that you want to send something in for, consideration, that they have a hearing, you guys think that this is all your idea, but what you didn't know is that they actually have a process for that. It's called instilling value coordinated behavior in you so that you perpetuate societal norms. What is the societal norm? It's not revolution. No, it's not revolution. How does our societal norm work? Our societal norm works by participating in a broken system. That's what you were taught in school. That's what y'all all want to do. I don't blame you. It's called indoctrination. It's just funny in all that schooling, they didn't teach you that they studied this and do it on purpose. They knew because they looked into it that once you were modernized, you would socially mobilize and you would want representation. So they gave you some little funky representation that does nothing for you. Can we all agree that the Black Caucus, the NAACP, all these, even our little Black schools, mind you, the white people founded all these things for us. It's not like we did this for ourselves. They did it for us. It's called controlled opposition. But y'all want to check. We're dealing with some clever people, but everybody wants a check. Let's talk about the political conflict model. I covered all this on my channel before, but I guess it was just too boring, because the thinking part of why you don't want to engage in social revolution is way too boring. It's way easier to grasp getting a check. See, getting some money, we all understand. Having these intricate conversations about how they've analyzed us and they've made you think that violence to the extreme that it was done for the extent of time it was done, which, let's be clear, that violence only started to simmer down around 1990. Can we all agree on that? Was slavery violent? Yes, it was. Was what happened after slavery violent with the lynchings and the burning down of black communities and the KKK bad? Yes, it was. Were the 50s, 60s, and 70s pretty lame for black people? I would have to say it was. I feel like getting sprayed with hoses and having dogs sicked on you is a problem. Were the 80s uncomfortable for black people where they purposely pumped crack into the community and then pulled all the men out? Yes, it was. So here we get around the 90s where things get not so sketch for black people. And here we are 30 years later in some weird delusion about how far we've come. Make it all make sense. I don't understand. Where was the actual progress? I like in reality, we've been getting shafted for 400 years, but don't let me speak sense because we want to check. So that's what matters. No revolution needed here. We're doing awesome. The political conflict model. When groups of people in society start to pursue power, individual anger and frustration is not enough to trigger revolution. They recognize that. You know why they don't care that I'm on YouTube being individually angry and frustrated? Is because my individual anger and frustration will not produce a revolution. They know that. Your individual anger and frustration will not produce a revolution. But you know what will? If we start to work together and concentrate our energies and power, we'll engage in what the Iranians did around 1980, or what the Cubans did. We'll start to gain sovereignty of mind and of environment, and we will revolt. And that's why all these childish games of ADOS and whatever the hell Tariq is calling himself, that's why all this splitting up of the diaspora, that's why all this infighting that we do, it really works to stop revolution. Because we will never collectivize. Because if we collectivize, there will be violence. Individually, we're not a problem. What is the moral of this story? What am I saying here? I'm not about to be up here forever. I'm not about to be up here forever. I'm just going to say this. Sunray, how are the Aborigines doing with their reparations over there? How are the Aboriginal people doing? Is that working out for them? It's not. Reparations didn't work for the Black people in Australia. Ask the Native Americans how those reparations are working out from them. I mean, my uncle was a total drunk and he lived on a reservation. It's a poor place. They live in squalor, and a lot of them are on drugs or or drink excessively. You see, reparations hasn't really worked out well for almost anybody but the Jews. It hasn't exactly been the golden ticket to equality. It hasn't been the golden ticket to equality, but y'all keep thinking that this check is going to do it. You guys keep thinking that the check is going to do it. That's going to be our golden ticket to accessing whiteness, as Yvette likes to say, because we got to access whiteness. White is not a color, it's a position. Even that thought process that white is some high position to be obtained disgusts me to my core. It just shows how deep the social engineering is in our minds. But I don't blame you guys. And again, I'm not going to fight against it. I'm not. I just listen to the reparations conversations and I don't join in because you know what? All Irene is going to say is social revolution. Why are we talking reparations? If you want your reparations, why don't we go find these families who are still billionaires off of the money that was made off of the slave trade? Why don't we burn these prisons down and go after the corporations that from the end of slavery started locking up Black men? But I don't want their dollars. I don't want them to exist. They do not deserve to keep operating. It was a crime of war. It may have been legal in the letter of the law, but it was criminal in behavior. You don't get to rob my house and then return my stuff and we be friends. That's not how this works. You rob my house, you rape my family, and you think giving me a small percentage of what you stole is reparations? Reparations is not a check. It's not green. That's not what it looks like. So this is all that I ask. This is all I'm asking. I know y'all aren't going to give up your check. So this is all that I'm asking. Can we at least be honest about what reparations is? Can we at least be honest? Reparations is an opportunity for you to buy things from the very people who are rich off of the blood of your ancestors. Reparations are a chance for you to do business with and engage in a system with and gain power in a house that was built on the crushed heads of the babies of your ancestors, on the torn off flesh of the men and women that are responsible for our lives. It's an opportunity for you to fully participate and engage in a system that said that your ancestors were not even fully human. You can fully engage in this system. You too can live the American dream. Get your check. I hope you feel very, very, very satisfied with it. I hope it brings you all the happiness and equality you've ever dreamed in this trash system. I hope you feel real good. really, really good inside when you spend that money. Honey, I'm not going to stop your check. I just want to say for the record, this is bullshit. And I don't care how many of you are mad at me for saying it. It is. It's cowardly. It does not repair anything, and it does not honor our ancestors at all. I just really don't see how taking blood money and then doing business with and kikiing it up with people who have literally become fat and stupidly rich off of such a disgusting history will ever work. But what's more is I don't see the logic in you watching your oppression go on for 400 years and still thinking it's not a good idea to engage in socio-political revolution. That blows my mind. I wouldn't even bother telling you guys to do it because I know you won't. But at the very least, can we look ourselves in the mirror and say that we're cowards? And that we'd rather take a check than let the color of reparations be red. Just look yourself in the mirror and say that. I'd rather have a check. 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 See that house? See how that sits with your spirit. It doesn't sit well with mine, but yo, whatever. We move as a collective, so let's get that money.